Dude, I just got fucking shocked again.
Well, you got a lot of static.
What's up, John?
Hi, Tim.
How was Okeechobee?
Okeechobee was really good.
Tell me about it.
We're just gonna jump into that.
Mhm.
Okay. I got a media pass, and they accidentally gave me a photo pit pass
What?
while I was on Media Line. So
How'd you get the media pass? Was it through Sober Nation again?
Just keep getting approved.
I can't believe that still works.
Still work. Well, dude, the articles do pretty well. And
Yeah, the article that we did on the Sober Nation Facebook so far did really well. Okeechobee was actually talking to Tori a lot because they wanted to like edit it and stuff because they thought that it was gonna get a pretty far reach.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they were into it.
Oh, cool. Well,
So you got a pit pass.
so I got a pit pass, and I didn't know what limits it had.
Uh-huh.
So day one, there's not a lot of like big artists and stuff playing. There's like some DJs on the Okeechobee stage
On Thursday.
on Thursday.
Yeah.
There's this band Too Many Zoos, who's kind of blown up through Facebook. They're like they were a subway band in
Okay.
New York City. I definitely suggest checking them out.
Okay.
They play like funky dance jazz,
Feel good vibe music.
It's just good stuff.
Yeah.
So I walked up to the photo pit area and I just showed the guy my wrist, and he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And I'm like literally at the stage. I was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy." I was like, "I wonder how far I can push this." So later that night, Blunts and Blondes was playing on the Incendia stage.
That's what they're called, Blunts and Blondes.
Blunts and Blondes.
Nice.
It's EDM, like dub. I don't know how to classify that stuff anymore. It goes womp womp sometimes. It's good. And I walk and I'm literally like on the stage with them. Like I'm like standing behind the DJ and like panicking so hard. I was like,
You're scared you're gonna get kicked off.
No, it's just like I don't have business here. Like a lot of these people have worked much harder than I have to get to this point, and I've been accidentally given this opportunity. And I wanted to obviously take full advantage of it. So the music festival for me, usually it's a lot of, more music and stuff, but a lot of this was like I have an opportunity to like prove myself as a photographer and do well, and that's like every bit of time I had,
of course,
minus Big Gigantic playing. I put my camera away into the RV because I just didn't have it in me to not dance my heart out to them. Absolutely. But everything else, it was just a really cool experience meeting some of these people that have shot a lot of festivals and everything. And this is something I don't enjoy a lot of, or find passion in a lot of stuff. And going into the photo pit, like my heart's racing, and like you're taking these pictures of these people that are riding the rail and everything. And you're capturing this moment that they'll probably remember for a long time, like that, that moment, but you're free.
I have a lot of those moments that I remember.
It's like the Jim and Pam in The Office. That's like the mental picture, because life moves really fast sometimes. But you're taking this picture and you're giving it to them. Like I would take their picture and give them my card, and like I hope they find the photos, because I would want a picture of me riding the rail. There's only one, and it's for Alabama Shakes at Bonnaroo in like 14 or 15 or something like that. But I would talk to some of the other photographers, and some of them loved being there. They're like, "This is the best." And like, you're standing there, and who was it? It was like Snoop Dogg was on stage, and I'm like 8 feet from Snoop Dogg.
What?
Yeah, and he's rapping, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like so excited. And then like we're at like Ganja White Night, and like the beat's just crazy, and I'm like dancing my heart out. And then there's people that are miserable.
How could you possibly be miserable 8 feet away from Snoop Dogg?
Right, but this is, that's their job. It's their job, and they hate it. And I'm like, oh my god, would this person want like an office job? Like, because that's like the worst, even though it's technically what I have right now. And then
why you hate being here?
I just don't like being in an office. This is a good office, but based off of my past office
there's been a few of them.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't like offices. That gives you a level of freedom, and I shot differently than everybody else, because a lot of people will have assignments and everything. The stuff that they have to shoot, they have to go to these sets. But I was kind of able to freestyle and run around and everything. But yeah, it made me think, like, no matter, like, that's like my dream job, is being able to do that for a living, take pictures of musicians and people having a good time, and be able to share those experiences with others and let other people relive that amazing memory for the rest of their life. Because
John, I had no idea that that's what you were doing up there.
Yeah, it was cool.
Man,
and then I did Sober Nation interviews, which was really cool. I got to meet some really good people.
Sure. I mean, you've always talked about how passionate you are about music festivals, and you know what? I think that's almost like because Sax kind of called me out the other day because I've been a little bit disconnected from everybody just because I've been so like focused on what I'm doing and working and shit like that. And I just figured you guys were doing Okeechobee like usual, and I knew that every time you had a press pass, you had like a cool experience through it, but it sounded like this was
very different because my first press pass was at Bonnaroo in 16.
I remember you saying how like nervous you got about the whole thing.
Yeah, so
kind of overwhelming.
I thought a lot more went into it, but it it gave you some access to places, and that was really exciting for me, like being behind these stages that I have so many memories tied to, and so much happiness. Like I got engaged there, and like being able to be behind the scenes and see how much goes into just making a single moment happen for 50,000 people to enjoy. Like it was really crazy. And then Okeechobee's on a much smaller scale. It's a little less organized. And
it's still a pretty big scale, though. Okeechobee is a big festival.
40,000 people. It's on the smaller side. Bonnaroo is like 110,000.
God, I thought Bonnaroo was bigger.
No. that's a lot of people. I think it's that or Coachella have to be one of the biggest in the United States. I don't know what it technically is.
I think you should go for it.
I am going. I'm trying.
Yeah, I knew that it was something that you had talked about before, but listening to you speak about it right now, and it seemed like I think you've had a little bit of experience just kind of getting a press pass here and a press pass there and kind of learning sort of your ins and outs, and every time you go, you get some more experience and like some more to take away from it. And just seeing your face and listening to you talk about it now seemed like you've really felt comfortable in it and like you were in your element and confident and like taking the pictures that you wanted to take, and you sort of.
I was absolutely terrified.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't sound like it.
Well, you only have 3 songs when they let you into the pit.
Okay.
So it's not like you could just.
So they rotate through photographers, you're saying?
No, everybody goes in
for 3 songs.
For 3 songs, and then there's like 2 or 3 like festival photographers or like some of the bigger name people.
Yeah.
That'll go in and be able to be there for the whole time.
Okay.
But in those 3 songs, I get lost in the moment in the music sometimes, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm taking a picture for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I've been rocking out or whatever. But no, yeah, it was a really cool experience.
But you really got to do Big Gigantic this time, right?
Yeah, they were fantastic.
I fucking told you, man.
No, listen, I remembered last time.
I know, but you guys left like 2 songs into it, and you
like
left me there
7
by
or 8
myself.
songs
No. It was like 2 or 3 songs into it.
No. They went on at like 10:30, and Kendrick went on
at
like
11:30. Yeah, and no, Kendrick went on at 11. You guys,
I know, because I heard
15 goddamn minutes. I remember because I was so bitter that you guys left me there by myself, and it was like one of the funnest shows I've ever been to. So
most fun.
The most fun, one of the funnest. That's not in English.
It's all right.
I'm glad you got to see them though, man. They were really like. That moment that you were saying where you capture that picture and you have those moments that really stick with you. That Big Gigantic show was one of them for me. That was out of control.
The amount that they've blown up over the past 2 years.
Often festivals.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like their stage production last time was 2 dudes with a booth and a screen behind them. And that was it. This time they brought out like 8 other people playing all like wind instruments.
Wow.
And they had freaking like the air cannons with this and everything, you know. It's
so what's the next festival
that I'm doing?
Yeah,
I have no idea. I've applied for 30, something like that.
Do you think
you can follow me at Music for Balance on Instagram? That's Music for Balance on Instagram.
Jesus, that was the cup falling.
The cup's been falling.
I thought that was like a pop. I thought like I set something up wrong.
That cup was down.
Gotcha.
But
yeah, and I'll link all that stuff in the show notes and everything. Do you think that like the fact that you represent Sober Nation gives you a better opportunity because music festivals want to portray like the sobriety side and like the healthy side and just the music side and not be seen as just like big drug and drunk fests?
You'd be surprised at some of the responses from some of the festivals, like Sunfest. I feel like that's a pretty big staple down here in South Florida.
Sure.
I feel like the recovery community is huge, obviously, in South Florida, and this is where Sober Nation is located. I've applied to them 3 years in a row and gotten denied every time.
Wow.
And I know it's a different type of festival. You know, I feel like drugs are more affiliated with camping festivals. But if you go to Sunfest, the amount of like 16-year-old kids you see rolling face on Molly, they're like, oh, is that Molly? And then they take it all and they pass out.
It's uncomfortable.
It's a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Lollapalooza I've never gotten approved for. I did.
Did you apply to that before?
Yeah, every year.
Cool.
And it's going to be different this year. You know, with Kat and I moving, there's a lot of stuff in like that Midwest area.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that too much.
Yeah.
When's the date that you think you're going?
April 27th is the set closing date right now.
For your house?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys just have to get out of there.
Yeah. We'll see. They're supposed to send me the signed contract today because then we need to move into inspection and all that.
How's Kat feel about the whole thing?
We're both really excited.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird right now. Like it's sinking in because B. Kelly moved out.
So it's just you two in the house?
Yeah, not having a roommate for the first time ever. You know? Lived on my own.
Things
weird.
have changed a lot.
Things have changed. Well, we're getting old. I'm almost 30.
You're
30.
I'm 31.
Yeah.
It's tough sometimes when you drive around and because I take, you know, my house is a quarter mile away, so I drive up and down the same street. Most of the time I'm just skateboarding and I'm going like, man, how many times are you going to skate up and down the same exact street? And then you start to think of like, man, but I have such a place in my heart around here and around like South Florida and like all the good times we had together. But then there's also this other like reality where it's like, man, I think maybe that shit is like passing by, you know?
Yeah, it's a really strange feeling. I've been down here for like 10 years now, and I was like watering my plants, and I was like, this is like one of the last times I'm gonna be. I've put a lot of time and a lot of energy, and I've had such a crazy.
And you just got that grass to grow.
Right. I've had such a crazy variety of emotions here and such change in my life. I've gone from somebody that got their first home with a girlfriend and two roommates, one being Butcher and then one that revolved, you know, constantly.
Yeah, always.
And then it turned into a house with my fiance and two close friend roommates, and then a house with my wife and one of my best friends. And now it's just a house with my wife.
And a bunch of dogs.
Yeah. And then it's going to be somebody else's house where their memories are going to be made. Like we just had new neighbors move in next door. Awesome young couple. And so we were like talking, they're like, oh, how's the neighborhood? And like the cat that's always outside my house, Tuna, came up and they're like, is that your cat? I was like, no, that's Tuna. She just like walks around. They're like, oh, Tuna, get out of here. Because they like jumped in their car. I was like, oh my God, I just gave this cat its infinite name forever. Like, just, I know that sounds stupid, but it's so weird. It's like this house has had such a huge impact on my life.
Huge impact on my life.
Yeah, on all of us.
For sure.
You know?
That Halloween party we threw there was like one of the best times I've ever fucking had.
Oh, I want to have a huge...
You keep talking about that, man. I just don't think it's going to happen, though, because we're not like... We're just... One, we're not nearly as fucking cool as we used to be, you know? So like,
I was never cool, and I am below...
Yeah, but you had cool friends.
I had good hair. that was it. Everything else was a facade.
Yeah, but now your cool friends are kind of not that cool anymore. Butcher's gone. I don't really have a whole lot of... I mean, I spend most of my time here. I don't really like these people that much anyway.
Awful.
Yeah, so.
Worst. And then you're engaged now. You know, it's very
yeah.
good.
I'm super lucky though, man. I don't. No, I feel really, really excited about, because you have to take a moment, because it's easy to look back and like, I was watching Mad Men last night. Jules and I watched an episode of Mad Men every night before we go to bed, and we're on season 4, and I don't know who's seen it, but Don Draper is like kind of starting to really unravel at season 4, and he's writing in his journal, and he had this line, which the first time I saw it, I really remembered, and it kind of hit me again last night. And granted, like when Don Draper says it, it's way more fucking dramatic than like what's going on in my life, you know? Yeah. But he says, something, we're tortured because we always want more, and we're ruined because we get these things and we wish we had what we had before. So, something along those lines. Don't quote me. So it's kind of like, I remember years ago, we were always looking forward to these moments when life wasn't so crazy and we all weren't like so fucking broke and like looking for a little bit of stability. And then you get here and there's still a part of you that kind of can't help but look back with like nostalgia. And it's like, oh man, but remember those other times when like we didn't have a fucking care in the world? And mind you, at the time it was super stressful because like we had tons of cares, but we just didn't have like real world responsibilities like we do now.
Well, I was thinking about when we were setting up everything, our trip to Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, and just how perfect that trip was.
Mm-hmm.
But in the moment there, you know, we had our van broken into.
There was so much going on.
Yeah, it was just absolute chaos.
Yeah.
But I still view that as the best vacation I've ever had. And I can't imagine something being better than that. And it drives me insane. Like, I'm like, oh my, when we went to Breckenridge, when we went to Colorado, whatever that was, like a month ago, I was like, oh my God, this may top Vegas.
Not even close.
It was a good time, but like it wasn't even fucking close. And the stresses in our life and everything, then like I got fired from my job a week after that trip for going on that trip. And it was the best. It was one of my least regretful things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Do you think the 5 of us will ever actually be able to do something like that again?
I think we should be able to, yeah.
I fucking hope so. I haven't talked to Butcher in like
we just need to
3 months.
We need to set something where it's just, hey, at this time of the year, every year, we're going to go somewhere for like 3 days, 2 days, not something fucking expensive where we're going to go to Nome, Alaska, but like, hey, let's meet up in like Charlottesville or something like that. We rented this VRBO house, or what's that other one? What's the cooler one?
Airbnb. VRBO? What the fuck is that?
I don't know. I've rented houses off of it before. It's the same thing as Airbnb. Yeah. But yeah, we rent an Airbnb and we do something good.
I hope so.
I think, yeah. I don't know why we wouldn't. It's not like all of you run your own business, and I just work I just work for all 3 of you. So like and then Kat's job is fake but so real.
Yeah, Kat has a real job. Kat's in charge of like some really important shit.
Yeah.
Because I have to remind myself though, as you get a little bit older and you look back, sometimes I have to remember that I still think the best is yet to come. Because now we have like way more freedom. I mean, not that we didn't before, but we had freedom before because we just didn't listen to anybody.
Yeah.
Like now we have freedom because we just literally have more control over our lives, you know?
Yeah. No, my freedom levels have skyrocketed. I used to have fake freedom.
And you used to talk about freedom all the time.
Because that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, was a job that didn't stress me out, where I would be flying home from a vacation and not be like, oh my God, I hope this plane crashes so I don't have to go to work. That would give me a good excuse to not go in.
I've never felt that.
When I had my gallbladder taken out and I was at the hospital, I told Kat, I was like, this is the best day I've had in a long time. I was like, I turned my phone off. No one can call me. I was like, this is perfect. And I watched Netflix in a hospital bed in excruciating pain for 24 hours, and it was perfect. And that's insane that I hated my job that much, that having a
gallbladder surgery,
having part of my body removed was the best. And it's not like that anymore. Like I could show up here kind of when I want, you know, within reason.
Yeah, but you know what that tells me, man? I was trying to find out like a message behind my timstodds.com site and like what it is that like I really believe in at the core of like all the other shit that I do, you know? And what I said is it bothers me that even though we have all of this access to information and technology and resources, most of the people, maybe in the world, I don't know, definitely in the country, still hate their fucking jobs.
Of course.
Like the majority of people still hate their jobs, and I don't think it has to be that way. Like I'm not saying that everybody's going to have their absolute dream job, but even if like, yeah, you have to do a 9 to 5 to pay the bills, you still have opportunities to have like a hobby that you're passionate about that can make you some money, and like maybe over time you can slowly kind of transition into that. Yeah. And I think listening to you right now about the photography and like seeing that light that I think everyone is looking for, where it's like, that's what I want to do. And I don't know why more people don't just like try to go after that, because what do you have to lose? Like eventually you're just going to die.
No, I feel like a lot of people, you know, if Kat wasn't a nurse, you know, I wouldn't be able to do the job that I'm doing right now. Thankfully, she makes good money and I make good money to get us by. But if we had kids, you know, once that happens,
true,
you know, And some people just become complacent. They're like, well, this is my job. Like my brother-in-law, he's a very good husband and a very good father, hates his job, but he makes good money.
Yeah.
You know, and he has great benefits, so it allows my nephew to stay healthy and give him an opportunity, but he'll be able to retire in 20-something years and then pursue those dreams. But I think it's money, it's fear, it's comfort, you know.
And it's probably easy for me to say it in my situation. It's got to be a whole nother thing when you have a kid.
Yeah, I mean, and even for me, dude, like when I had my old jobs, I almost went back into it because it's what I knew, it's what I'm comfortable with, and I know I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And if I started that again, then it would have, who knows? I have no idea.
There is, out of all the things in my life that I'm like really terrible at, and the mistakes that I've made, and you know, things that like I wish I could have done differently. Speaking for me, and I almost feel weird saying this because I'm trying not to brag, I think I've done a good job of like pushing through those sort of initial like fears that you have in order to kind of take those leaps to go out on your own. I think that's probably the most important thing. Like just being able to look at something and be like, you know what? I don't know how this is going to turn out. I might fall flat on my face, but like, fuck it, I'm going to give it a shot. I think I've done that pretty well.
Yeah, no, you take a lot more chances than most people.
Yeah.
You've built something where you're able to be comfortable, and it's always finances, I think, that keep a lot of people from trying things, and the fear of failure. Because if you go out and you fail something when you don't have something backing you up, then you're really, really taking that chance. I give a lot of credit to those people that are like, I just can't do this anymore. I'm going for it. And I get so sad. There was this little ice cream shop that opened up next to the post office in Delray on Linton. I was like, oh, it's like this little family-owned place. Went and I got my ice cream, and it was as good as any other ice cream. It wasn't like, oh, I don't
but it was the vibe.
Right, but it was cool. Yeah, it's this little mom and pop place. And I went to the post office yesterday, and now it's a pizza place with different owners. I'm like, oh my God, these people. Anytime I see like a closed down family
they put so much into it, right?
They were like, honey, we're going to do this. We're going to open up this ice cream shop. It may not be the best, but it'll be enough to get us by.
And it'll be ours.
It'll be ours.
Yeah.
And now it's gone. And the husband's putting a garden hose around his neck, seeing if his chimney's strong enough.
John.
to support him.
Yeah, man.
Credit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give somebody credit for trying, right? But, I mean, shit, I think that happens more often than people actually succeed at it.
Yeah.
Like, most of the time it fails.
Most people fail at most things.
Figure out a way to set this thing up so I can actually lean into it.
What, the mic? I just got to figure out a way that I could sit like a person.
No, because I got this standing desk here, which is great because I like to stand when I work. But then when I do these podcasts, I can't really, like there.
Well, I can't.
I got some work to do, I guess.
I don't know what to do with my body. And these armrests don't go down anymore, and it just hits the thing. So it's like,
oh, so you can't go into
I can't go in. Yeah, I can't go in. I can't lean back.
Under here. Come on, John. Have you ever used the fucking office chair?
I thought I did that. It is early, Tim.
The look on your face just then, you're like, oh, yeah.
I thought I did that. I guess I didn't do it.
So what do you think, man? Are you gonna give Music for Balance like a real shot after all the shit that I've been talking about doing it for who knows how long?
The writing about music is exhausting. I just want to be like, listen, here's a band, listen to them, take my suggestion as my word. Because
I don't think that's true though, man.
I don't like writing about music. I don't feel like I could capture like what it is. I'm better at like creative writing and stuff like that. But writing about music, it makes you feel something that's usually hard to explain. If you really enjoy the music that you're listening to and what that person's saying or whatever it is that catches you originally, that makes you start listening to it more, and then that music becomes such a staple in your life.
I hear what you're saying. It's tough to encapsulate that on a blank page.
Yeah, I mean, I could write a bunch of nonsense and be like, the incendiary guitar scales of Billy Gordon blow you away as you walk in the lights behind you, but that's fucking bullshit. It's such bullshit. I'd rather take the pictures and let people feel the experience, like who that artist is, maybe through a photo or get an idea.
Well, you can make blog articles that's just pictures.
Yeah, I'm just gonna see if I could get a photo, take pictures of shit. I don't even know what it is. I've been writing a little bit more.
So you're not necessarily sold on having like your own brand. You just want to do the work.
Yeah, I'll work for friggin' some concert venue or something. That's cool.
I couldn't imagine living that way, man. And I think it's just like the rebellious side of me that like can't stand the fact of having somebody tell me anything, like be here at this time. I'm just gonna be like, no, even though like I should be there at that time, and I was probably gonna go there anyway.
Yeah.
Just the fact that somebody said like you need to be here at this time just makes me not want to do it. But I know that's just my like ego talking, and I think if you can find an opportunity to do that kind of work, even if it's for someone else, you should definitely do it. I don't know. I just think that you have such a unique perspective on music. You know more bands and you know more music than anybody I've ever known. And I think maybe it's just the medium of actually writing that's getting in your way. Why don't you just make videos instead?
The videos are a lot of work.
What? No, they're not.
Me talking, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, not videos. That shit is a lot of work, a lot of editing.
No, I don't know. If I see a video that starts with the view of a person, like a selfie or something, I instantly hate that person. You're included.
I thought you said you turned it off.
I did silence it. I don't know. It doesn't silence all the way.
I don't think that's true, though, man. This is what we're doing right now.
Right. I wouldn't watch this.
Yes, you would. You've never watched like a show on YouTube before? You've never watched like a music show on YouTube that has people that
Tiny
like you?
Desk Concert. I don't know.
But the majority of the people out there do like content in that format. So like, why wouldn't you just give it to them?
How do I say it? I don't want to ever put something out there that I wouldn't enjoy myself.
It's tough to argue that, man. Yeah, because if like your heart isn't into the shit that you're creating,
like,
then you're gonna feel like, yo, I'm really sorry. When you push your hair back like that, you got like a real mullet thing going on.
Dude, it's so bad right now. Look at this.
Yeah, you gotta cut that shit.
I can't. I went and I got it like trimmed and shit. It's just so mullety. I need a hat. The hat will throw it off. Let me see the hat.
It's the Eagles hat.
I don't care.
And your head. Don't stretch my head with your watermelon head.
It's not that big. Let me put it on the largest setting.
Oh my god, that actually fits you on the largest.
It's not the largest.
Yeah,
it's a little too big. I'm gonna put it backwards.
Your head is so fucking huge.
It's not that big. Okay, so
I'm losing it live on Facebook.
So like, do I look like a bully from a '90s movie?
You look like Sid from Hey Arnold. Wasn't that his name?
Hot dog nose.
No, yeah.
Sid had the hot dog nose. It tucked into his hat.
But he had the backwards hat with like the big hole in the strap going around. Yeah. That's
a bad look. So,
sorry.
Man. What was I saying? Yeah, I
don't know. Your mullet just really fucking caught me.
It's so bad. And I've asked Kat, and she's just so nice. I'm like, does this look? So she's like, no.
It looks.
Just tell me I look like a piece of shit.
Why are you so obsessed with growing your hair long again?
It's just my personality. I feel like it's right. It's like when anybody gets a haircut for something, if you want to get a deep cut in the side so you have a deep part, it's because you're a douchebag and you want people to know, like, I fucking suck. You know, like,
isn't that what Butcher had for like 2 years?
Yeah, it was 100% right. Sax just shaves his head because he's like, I really don't care that much.
Sax doesn't shave his head though, and I keep telling him he should shave his head, but he's scared because he's balding, and he doesn't want to like really dive into the I'm losing my hair.
He knows.
But he knows exactly. I'm like, Sax, just shave your head and grow a beard. Like, you'll look fucking cool.
Oh, shave it?
Yeah.
Like Bick it?
No. Not like a skinhead type thing, but like the same.
Oh my God, he would be the worst skinhead.
He'd be so terrible, and he's Jewish. But no, I mean like the what do they call it? Like a fade, where it's like shorter on the sides, and then he has like a little bit of length on the top, but he needs to just go the same length all the way around.
Yeah.
But he won't do it. Could you imagine how cool Sax would look if he had like a real thick beard?
He would look good with not a super thick beard, like about your thickness.
Yeah, he couldn't do the real beard.
I hate that fucking look. Where somebody
you didn't like
grows
no, not
beard's
that
like,
big.
here, Marco does that shit. But
Mine
he's
was
different.
like, I mean, like that. That's why I think my beard looks cool.
No, yeah, that's okay. But when I see somebody, okay, we're taking a dark turn.
Yeah, shit got weird.
I hate.
Okay, we'll bring it back. You would rather, I shouldn't say you would rather, as long as you can go to festivals and take pictures of artists, you don't necessarily care if you're doing it for yourself or for a company or for the festival. You just want to do that actual work.
Yeah, I mean, because even if I was working for somebody, it would be cool to have like that stability. I do enjoy that financial stability, because then you could also take it and use some of those pictures for yourself too. You could have your main thing where you work for them and then do your side thing too. You know, putting all of my time and all of my energy into making music for balance. There's so many music blogs out there. There's nothing that's going to make me stand out too much. I don't think.
Oh, man, I totally disagree, John. Because it's you. I know, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, you know, I would never say this shit just to fluff you up. If like what you were doing was stupid, I would tell you it was stupid. Yeah. But like your perspective on music is unlike anyone I've ever met, man. Like, you know more about music than anyone.
I think I just pretend to.
No, it's not, because you listen to it all. And like, it's not necessarily that you know the facts behind it. It's like you're really in touch with, like you were saying before, that feeling. That's what music does, right? It's art. So like, regardless of the technicalities behind music and like, wow, this guy has a really good style here, and this guy, like, you know, can pull styles in this way. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that feeling that music gives you, which is why we all listen to it. You know, like, you understand that better than anybody, and you appreciate that better than anybody. And like, when I listen to you talk about music, it makes me fucking feel that. And I think you really have that to give. I do, man. I really think you have that to give.
Maybe I'll try a video or something, because
just do it.
Typing it out is like, I don't know. And then I need to figure out why my blog looks the way it does, because I don't know what I'm doing with that.
Yeah, that's just because you hosted it on WordPress.
Yeah, it's just gross. Super gross looking.
But I mean, even with that, man, you know who Seth Godin is?
No.
Well, Seth Godin is basically like a marketing guru. He's written like 17 best-selling books, and he doesn't even have his own hosted blog. He did his, like you did on WordPress.
17 books?
17 bestsellers.
Stop right.
Dude, and he just, yeah, I know, and he just keeps cranking them out. He's written a blog article every day for like 12 years. Every fucking day. And it's not even his website. It's typepad.sethgodin.com. So like, he uses Typepad. He says he pays like $12 a month for it. But it's just that like, his message is so profound. He doesn't do social media. He doesn't do anything. And it's like, it's one of the most successful blogs that's ever been. So like, yeah, what I'm saying is your website does look like shit. But if the content that you deliver can speak that message that like we were just talking about, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think you just got to do it, man. I really do. I think you just got to do it.
The blog stuff just doesn't.
It just doesn't do it for you?
Not really, no.
Would you be interested in a podcast?
No.
Would you be interested in YouTube videos?
Probably not.
Just want to take the pictures.
I want to take pictures and judge people. That's like my idea. If I could take your picture and then tell you how I feel about your face in it. Oh my God. That would be the most perfect job. But
yeah,
no,
well,
I mean, I'll figure it out. It's something I'm just kind of taking as it comes. J. Roddy Wilson reference.
Yeah, I got it.
Out right now. Taking as it comes. Essential Trends. Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah, and I think
let it happen. I'm gonna try and get as many pictures as I can. I want to start going to. I wrote Revolution in Fort Lauderdale.
Cool.
If they want somebody to take pictures for free, and I'll do it.
That's a good move. Yeah, and I think you're also probably right with just doing it that way. Like, I just know how passionate you are about this, and I think maybe like I want this for you. You know,
do you want to start a blog for me?
Well, that's easy. But do I want to write it? No, yes. Definitely not. I don't want to do any of your work. I don't know. How long has it been? I don't have my glasses on. What's that say?
It says 34 minutes and 50
Jeez, it feels like it's been like 30 hours.
Right? It does
of us talking. Yeah.
A lot. Did we?
Well, I need some help, John.
With?
The podcast, the one that we're doing right now.
Okay.
I've been experimenting with like a lot of different options, and I want your take on it because for some reason I trust your judgment. So I've been doing podcasts where like I wake up in the morning and I research something that I find interesting. Like I did a little podcast on esports because I know you guys make fun of me, but since I started playing StarCraft, I got into the whole esports culture, and it's
like video games. I don't make fun of you for that.
I guess I kind of make fun of myself because I never thought I would be into it, but it's fucking fascinating, dude. Like there's this one game that had 290 million people watching it. Two people playing computer games against each other, and
290
million. To put that in perspective, like an average NBA game gets like 60 million people. So like esports.
Less than that. I think the Super Bowl has like 60 million viewers.
Yeah, you might be right. Don't quote me on it.
The World Cup is the most viewed thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this video game.
Pull it up. I'm gonna. As you're going.
As I'm going, pull it up.
Many.
And fix your mic. You just knocked it off.
There we go.
So anyway, the point is that I've been doing like these little 10 to 15 minute podcasts that I sort of do a little bit of research, and I just sort of do like a quick blurb on what my take and my thoughts on that are. And I like that because I don't have to plan. You know, like getting guests in here is kind of a pain in the ass because you got to like reach out to people and get them in here and like coordinate the times and stuff. But there's also a side of me that thinks that there's something like really authentic about sitting down across from someone and having like a genuine conversation, because like that doesn't really happen that much anymore, you know. But at the same time, I wonder how many more like guests podcasts could there possibly be, and like how do I actually stand out in doing that? So in your opinion, should I stay with like these little kind of bite-sized chunks where I just do like a 10 or 15-minute episode and I just do a monologue and I kind of speak about whatever's on my mind that day? Or should I keep doing it in here where I bring in a guest and I don't know why the fuck you're laughing at me right now, where I bring in a guest and I can learn about other people? Because that's the other thing about doing it this way is like it's not about me, you know. Like I generally get to learn like cool stuff about other people that I didn't know before. So what do you like listening to more?
Okay. First off, the World Cup final had 1 billion.
So that's a little bit more.
It's a little bit more. Yeah. Slightly more. Okay, Bill Burr is one of my favorite people to ever exist.
Yeah, he does
fantastic.
just a solo shot.
He does a solo podcast, and it's a little too much for me.
You mean too much Bill Burr? Too
much Bill Burr, which is a lot for me to say because I've watched all of his comedy specials in like one day before, 2 of them. It's a lot. It's a lot of comedy. I don't care about anybody's opinion enough to listen to only them talk about any. It doesn't really matter who it is. I don't know why. Maybe it's my attention span. Maybe it's something that's changed. But 15 minutes, yeah, that's okay. But Bill Burr's podcast are like
it's like an hour.
It's like an hour and 20 minutes. I'm like, okay. Like, I love your view on the world. I agree with 98% of it, but it's too much. I wish he would bring people on there, because when I hear Bill Burr in another interview that's being, run by somebody or something like that, where it's a little bit more orchestrated, because when you're going in there solo, it's really hard to follow your timeline. You can go off on a tangent like I'm going off on
I hear you.
Right now. When you have somebody else there, it kind of helps dictate it, because if they keep going, then you would interrupt me.
Can interject, yeah.
Right, and bring in a different, fresh thought.
I think that is something that has a lot of merit, because, well, okay, 2 things. Bill Burr did have this little podcast about, you ever see that video of the 2 kids in Australia? The one, like, kind of overweight. I don't want to be mean and like bully him, but he's like a 14-year-old and he's big. He's probably a little bit too big.
If he's a fat kid, people need to listen.
He's a little bit of a fatty.
Let's talk about that really quick.
But hold on, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me, because
okay, this is what I was talking about.
I got you. So there's this poor, helpless, overweight kid, And
little fatty.
There's this other skinny little kind of Weasley looking kid.
Yeah.
And he's punching him right in the face in
yeah,
front of
yeah.
everybody. And so then he body slams him, right? Listening to Bill Burr talk about this YouTube video had me dying. Like, I could not stop fucking laughing because he's talking about it and he's saying, excuse me, I'm laughing so hard.
Snickle Fritz.
But so anyway, there was that side of Bill Burr. But then I also heard Bill Burr on the Tim Ferriss podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim Ferriss, when he interviews people, is like super methodical, and he like does a lot of research, and he really takes his time. Like, he doesn't speak fast. And I got to hear like a whole nother side of Bill Burr that I didn't know before. You know, like, I learned about his upbringing, and I learned about like some shit with his childhood, and how like for him, humor and comedy, which is probably pretty common, but was almost like a defense mechanism.
100%.
You know what I mean? Because he got picked on a lot.
Yeah, young kid, redheaded kid from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably right that just because there's a lot of other people that do sort of these interview style podcasts doesn't necessarily mean there's not like room to do it my own way.
I'm not saying you can't do it your own way. I was pretty much saying I never want to hear you talk solo for an hour. Ever about anything.
Okay. Well, thanks, Sean.
No problem.
Okay, now you can go on your fucking tangent about fat kids.
It's not about fat kids. I was a little fat kid. I'm still kind of fat. You know?
You look good though.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Bullying and stuff like that. Yes, I'm against like intensive bullying, like taking that one kid and singling them out and making their life absolute misery. But you need to make fun of each other as kids. You need to know if you're being a faggot, like somebody's got to be like, you're kind of being a faggot.
Why'd you have to go there?
I don't mean that in the.
Why
know
did
the
you
way
have
I mean
to
it.
go there?
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, if
I do know exactly what you mean.
Right, and it's
I can
not a
take things in
derogatory
context.
term. Gay people love them. You know, they're great. But that was a term that we used, and it still makes perfect sense in my head because I can't think of another word that puts it better than, you know, if I'm walking with my friends and we're 12 years old and Kevin has a stick and he's just swinging it around and starts poking people with it. He's, you know, you're starting to bother me, and then he keeps doing it. It's like, you're you know, and you have to let people know that if they're being an asshole or if they're being a bitch or whatever, however you want to say it in whatever way that, you know, you need to know. I like
douche.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Douche feels right to me.
For some people get there's so many classifications out there that people can fall into. But you need to know when you're doing those things. It's like when you meet somebody that was homeschooled, you're like, this guy's real weird. You know, because he didn't go through school, and his parents are like, oh, he's trying.
Yeah.
You know, his dad was never like, hey, you kind of, when you kicked that ball as a straight foul and kickball and made us lose, you kind of fucking suck. Like, you're kind of the worst. You know, now think about that and think about how you're going to kick it from now on, and or anything like that.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, not sports involved or doing something stupid. Like, there's this kid for years, and I don't know how he lasted so long doing it, would raise his hand in class, and whatever the topic was, would just say a joke about it, but it was never funny, ever. It got to the point where in high school, and when he would raise his hand, people would go, oh my God. And he just kept doing it, and like, I give him credit for following what he loves, I guess. But most people, once you heard one, you'd stop. You'd be like, maybe this isn't my thing. Maybe I'm not funny. That's why I didn't keep playing soccer. You know, not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not coordinated with my feet. I heard a lot of people go, oh, when I was playing soccer, don't need to play that anymore. Some people be like, I'm going to use that as motivation, become better. You're not going to be that good.
So to summarize,
that rant,
your rant, I think it's important that we make sure we don't nerf the world, right? Like, there's some value
absolutely
in people hardening each other. I mean, dude, I'm the perfect example. You know, like, I think out of anybody, I got picked on more than like anyone I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was super skinny and gangly. I was the most awkward person ever. Like, my ears,
I've seen the picture,
stuck out real far. And I mean, dude, looking back at it with getting picked on in high school, like, I still get that feeling in my stomach for shit that happened like 15 years ago.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But now when people say mean things about me, it's like, I don't know. It rolls off. You know what though? Maybe it doesn't. It's kind of ironic. I don't know if it is actually ironic. I hate when people misuse that word. But I sent out my daily newsletter 2 days ago, and some woman replied to it saying like, "This is dumb. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen." It got me. I love this. It got me so upset that I wrote like a real long, in-depth article about dealing with haters and about how like if you're going out on a limb and you're trying to create,
dealing with haters.
Yeah. But I also got like a little bit too far in it. Like I said some shit that like I really regret, and especially because like since it's a newsletter, like I can delete a blog post, but you can't delete like an email that goes out to 4,000 people, you know?
Right.
So this morning, I didn't think much of it, but then like as I went back to read it, I kind of like wasn't angry anymore, and I was like, you know, like man, I wish I could take that back. And so this morning, I even sent like quote unquote an apology. So
to one lady.
No, well, I did email her personally and said like, hey, look, like I said some mean things about you, and like I'm really sorry. But also just to like my entire list, like it wasn't like me to say those kind of things. I don't really like to hurt people, but the point I'm trying to make is, yeah, I say that things can kind of roll off a lot easier than they used to, and I think that they do, but maybe there's some like deep scars in there if I'm getting picked on so much, or people say things about you, and I'm just like, oh, you know what, like fuck you.
Yeah, there's a John Mulaney skit about that. He's like, teenagers are the meanest people in the world. If I see a group of teenagers walking down the street, I will go on the other side, because teenagers will make fun of you for the one thing that you're sensitive about. They're like, oh, look at that tall, high-waisted man. He's got feminine hips. He's like, no, that's what I'm sensitive about. But it's true, because that shit will stick with you. Like I got both. Everybody in my school got picked on, you know, except like maybe a few people, but they probably did by like their clique or whatever. I was a floater. I kind of went.
So was I.
Yeah, I kind of fit in with everybody just enough to get by.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was also like fairly good with words.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that helped. But you know that stuff does stick with you, but it can.
But it's still important. Like I went a little bit out there. Like I think it's still important that, I guess it's almost
like
part
of growing.
Yeah, it's like a pack mentality type thing. Like you have to find out where you are in the pack, and if you're kind of a weakling, like people are gonna sniff that out.
Like 100 years ago, you would have been so dead.
You just would have been dead. Exactly.
Well, not 100 years ago. It's like 2020 already. It doesn't make sense. It's 2018. That's 2 years away. 100 years ago, you know, you'd be able to get by being like, "Hey, it's off." You know how people back then. Well,
wait, what?
That was I'm not doing that again. It's very early in the morning. But you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're trying to say. Like we protect feelings too much, as if there's something like tragic about getting your feelings hurt.
Right. I was offended, making me correct in the situation.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this last time, because it drives me insane.
We did talk about that, and since I never published that episode, I guess we can bring it up again, and maybe this time I have a little bit more like clarity as to what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But the woman, her name was Brittany, she wrote an article on my clothing line and about how I don't even know what the term is anymore, because there's so many terms for being offended, but I'm culturally appropriating people because I was putting white faces on black culture pretty much. And
I'm offended that you said black.
Dude, like here's the
kidding.
I know, but here's the thing that bothers me is that it's not even necessarily like I don't want to do the wrong thing, and like I don't want to hurt anybody, you know. But it's more so where people are so nervous about just saying things that they don't actually get to like express themselves for fear of just like stumbling over their words a little bit, because you can't necessarily get something out right perfectly the first time, and then all of a sudden it's like, like I got you, you know, like I yeah, exactly, like I trapped you in this tiny little flaw of imperfection that like you may not necessarily have done right. And I think that's a real bummer.
Yeah, people are very flawed, and we're not equal at all. There's definitely people that are a lot better than other people. I definitely feel like people deserve, equal opportunities and stuff like that.
Totally agree.
But there's people that are way better at stuff than other people.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And men and women are very different, and each different races have different things
that they're good at and that they're bad at.
It's evolution. It's because of how
culture.
Over the past 50 years, we haven't changed the previous whatever it is, 120,000 years of evolution, growing up where we grew up, where we did, our ancestors did, and how we ended up here and everything. Like,
what do you think is, I think about this a lot. What do you think is like the trigger point? Because, I mean, I'm only 31. From ages like 12 to 20, I don't remember all this stuff being such a topic of conversation where everybody was like so adamant. Like, where do you think this came from? Do you think it's really a social media thing where everybody has an opinion?
It's definitely a social media thing. I think, and there's other stuff that goes into it too. Like, yeah, our world is pretty fucked up overall, but in the grand scheme of things, like, it's probably better than it's ever been.
By far, the statistics are.
Yeah, if you go strictly off of like violent crimes and everything like that, yes, there's some horrific violent things that happen that make you go, wow, this is terrible. But you compare it to like a per capita violent rating from like the 80s or something like that, we are doing better if you compare it to the years prior to that. And then like everything, we're not in the midst of a war where our pretty much children are being drafted to go fight for something they don't believe in.
Sure.
Like in Vietnam, and people need something to just be pissed off about and complain about. And it's Donald Trump, who I don't support, but it's enough, most people don't like him. It's okay. You can't, it's all on the news. And then, find something to voice your opinion about, because everything else you have to say, that's not a complaint, nobody fucking cares. Nobody wants to hear it. So you have a complaint and people respond to it and they go, ooh,
the little like hit of dopamine.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I think it is too? And this is like, I have no evidence behind this. It's just something that I've observed. I think that because things are so safe that these days, it's almost like people need a little bit of a struggle, right? Like in our evolution,
it's a human need, 100%.
Yeah, like in our evolution, it was every single day was a struggle. And I think without that, like, we almost need something to fight for and like rally for. And now that there's not, like you said, some huge war, and there's not, everybody can pretty much go to the grocery store and get food, and at least in our country, and for the most part, people have their needs met. And I think now that that is all satisfied, we're almost kind of just like clawing at things.
Yeah, it's much more. You don't hear people in Ghana.
John,
I don't even know how that's going off. It's an alarm for something that I don't need to do. How people in Ghana, like, they're not going to go and be like, oh my God, I can't believe what these people said about this. Like, I'm so bothered. It's such, and I hate this term, but it's such like a first world problem and a first world concern.
Sure.
About being offended by these things.
Yeah.
And my alarm threw me off. I had I was gonna go. And
you were going.
I kind of lost it.
I hear what you're saying, man. It seems like the privileged are more offended.
We're like you were saying, we're so comfortable. And how you were talking about that, like that almost that need to want to survive, it's gone. And the sense of community, I feel like is lost a lot throughout most, a lot of people in the United States.
Yeah. And
that's something that for thousands of years, it was, I protect my family, my bloodline,
my tribe.
Yep. This is what would you die for? I die for my people. I wouldn't die for a lot. I would die for like 8 people, maybe. But like the chances of their lives being in danger where my life would, but that's not it anymore. It's a lack of purpose for a lot of people. And then complaining and bickering and all that gives them a purpose. In a way, I'm grasping at straws. I'm just talking.
Yeah, but I think you hit something there where you said a lack of purpose. When people have things that their agenda is clear, I don't think that God, see, even here, like, I don't want to say those kind of people. You know what I mean?
Just say it. Fuck everybody.
Yeah, but it's
we
easy.
suck.
Nah, but it's easy to say that, man, because there's repercussions behind saying shit. That,
every person sucks. Everyone that's listening to this, you all
I
suck
can't
in
get
your
behind.
own. You all
get
suck in your
behind
own
that.
way. I suck. Tim sucks. We all suck. We're good at some shit too, but for the majority, most people suck.
No, I'm not
really,
with you on that.
Even really good people, they suck.
Yeah, but I'm not with you with that. I choose to look at it the opposite way. I think everybody has some sucky things about them, but for the most part, like, people are generally good. And I think it's the sucky things that we all choose to look at. And it's like that little tiny bit of our differences, which is creating this huge wave of conflict, because we're all so much more alike than we are different.
Yeah, I may have worded that wrong.
Really?
No, we suck. I still support that. We're all super weird in like our own ways and everything, and we're all very different. But how do I say this without being overly? I don't want to like
saying we're all flawed.
Yeah, we're all extremely flawed.
Of course.
Yeah, that's good.
I got you, buddy.
Yeah, because saying we suck is like a very basic way to say that. But yeah, we all have extreme flaws, and we try and find what the flaws are in like other people.
And we like look for them, right?
Yeah, I don't even think we mean to. I don't mean to judge people as hard as I do.
It's like a hobby of yours.
Not even. I'll just be standing somewhere, and like I have to like bring myself back sometimes. I'm like, stop it. And find like the beauty and the innocence and everything like that in the world is like something that I've been trying to do more to like improve.
I've been trying to do that more too.
Right, just improve my daily view on life instead of being such like a negative prick about everything.
No, I've been trying to do that more too. You know, and before we started recording, what has really, really helped, honestly, is I deleted my Facebook account, I deleted my Instagram account, and the other thing I did, which probably doesn't get talked about the same amount as social media, but I think in a way it's almost worse because of how incestuous it is. I deleted all the news notifications on my phone. Yeah, just because the news isn't actually,
there's no good
news anymore. It's just clickbait. You know, like there's very little that I feel that is, I mean, maybe BBC, you know, they're always like the golden child of that journalist standard, but I just don't feel like, I feel like removing myself from that whole entire realm of where it's like, hey, look at this, look at this.
Connection.
Yeah, and just like infinite, endless information. Speaking of Seth Godin again, he wrote this blog the other day, which really, really resonated with me, and I think I'm probably going to like write something else. But he was talking about things that never end, because with Instagram and Twitter and the news cycle and all that, the whole point of it and the whole thing lives on there never actually being like a finish date where you say like, this is it, publish, I've put something into the world. Like the whole entire system revolves around more like whoosh, whoosh, you know, and just like
hours
of infinite, just
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And I tried to like remove myself away from I don't know, systems or infrastructures or whatever it is you want to call it. I'm not one of those like fuck the man type guys, but I tried to remove myself away from things that like don't end. And I tried to like be purposeful about my work and actually like finishing projects and like shipping it, he calls it. Like you have to publish something.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with it. For me, like my happiness has really gone up.
It's not even that. It's just such mindless entertainment. And I try and stay away from Facebook and Instagram and stuff, but like with the recent pictures and everything, like I was talking about with you before, it's like I am so obsessed with knowing how my stuff is doing, because it's like, oh wow, I'm like actually proud of something and like put time and effort into it. But then I find myself doing that, and then all of a sudden I'm scrolling through Facebook and looking.
It gets you, man.
And somebody's asking for, I'm looking for a good nail salon by me. It's like, just Google it. You're just asking for attention.
It gets you.
And people, yeah, it's just the level of connection that we have with the world. And I think that's one of the reasons that people think everything is so terrible, because you're just constantly being told all the bad. You don't turn on the news too often and they're like, this is all the good shit. Good story. That would be it. Let's do that. Let's do a news show where it's just feel good shit. That's our new podcast. It's you and I meeting in the morning, 20 minutes talking about previous days good shit that happened, and then why it kind of sucks.
Well, let's finish this episode up with that then. Let's find something good that happened. Hold on. Let's look for let me choose positive news story.
Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water. It's been like 3.5 years.
Right? You see those but look at us. We're feeding into the cycle.
I mean, but no, that's really bad.
It's terrible, man. And like those poor people talking about how like their skin itches all the time.
Mm-hmm. I don't even like having dry hands.
Well, I'm not even going to go there. Okay, so there's a website called the Good News Network, the #1 source for good news. For 20 years, our positive news from around the world has uplifted and inspired millions. Good news in history. This is great. All right, here we go.
So this is in the past, something good that happened.
No. This is March 12th, 2018.
Yes.
So we're gonna finish this podcast with a positive story. Indian district becomes first territory to be 100% solar powered. A district in India has just become the first in the country's union territories to be 100% powered by solar energy. Dewey, D-U-I, I'm butchering that, I'm sorry, which has a population of roughly 56,000 people, now holds a solar capacity of 13 MW. I'm assuming that means megawatts.
I don't know.
3 MW, of which are generated from rooftop units, while the other 10 MW are generated through regular facilities. Before Dewey started building its own electrical infrastructure, the district depended on neighboring territory to provide for their energy needs. In addition to being more expensive, this tactic has resulted in huge line losses throughout Dewey. Okay, this isn't too long. Blah, 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 blah. Dewey's peak time demand for electricity goes up to 7 megawatts, and we generate about 10.5 megawatts of electricity from solar energy daily. This is way more than the consumption demand requirement. It's great. 56,000 people are now completely off the grid. They're not dependent on anybody else. They're not dependent on their...
Well, I mean, I'm sure the city's got stuff, but it's about renewable energy. But
that's
you
fantastic.
Know what I mean.
That's a good story. I feel really good about that.
I was hoping it would be about a puppy. I'll just look at pictures of puppies when I leave here. No, that's how we said we were going to end it. That's
just
it.
End it there.
Yeah, no, done.
Done.
All
right, guys. No. Thank you so much for listening.
Music for Balance.
Musicforbalance.org.
.com.
Musicforbalance.com.
Don't visit that. Just go to my Instagram. My blog sucks, like I said before.
So Instagram is Music for Balance.
Yes.
We're going to look at John's pictures. We're going to encourage John to be a music festival photographer because I know he's passionate about it and he wants to do it. If anybody listening to this runs a music festival and they want to hire John full time.
Or you don't even just let me go.
Just let him go. Just let him go for free and he'll take pictures for you. Thank you to everybody who subscribed to my podcast. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you like the little 10 to 15 minute episodes I've been doing, or if you like the interview style better. I'm definitely interested to hear your thoughts. Please subscribe. Please leave me a comment and a rating on iTunes, and Spotify is the best thing you can do to support the show. And I appreciate you guys a ton. Talk to you next time. Thanks, John.
You're welcome. Oh my God, my hair.